Zbigniew Brzezinski, as he's known, one of the main architects of the modern world government system we're under, died yesterday at 89. Start of the next segment, especially if you're a TV viewer, we're going to educate everybody, including radio listeners, on exactly why this is such a big deal. This is the guy that launched the program to use Islamic extremists to basically destabilize the world. That's why our governments are allied with them. The street cop's not allied with them. This high-level, cop in England that wants the Islamists rounded up, he's not part of this. But we'll decode why they're bringing in 5 million military-age men who are unvetted with terrorist backgrounds into Europe. Why they're doing the same thing in the UK. Because it's part of a larger plan. Now, I want to be very, very specific. We've already lost most of our liberties in the name of combating Islam. Islam's a real threat. Orthodox Islam is. But I don't hate Muslims because they're Muslims. They're under a very oppressive system where Islam has had a reformation. People keep saying it needs a reformation like Christianity had. They haven't had a reformation. Of that sense, they've had one where it's gotten more radical. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, that is their reformation. That is right out of Riyadh. That is right out of Mecca. That is right out of Saudi Arabia. That's right out of the crossroads of the caravans. And the biggest, staunchest people against it are people from Mongolia and people from India and people from the stands who have for generations. You go back 100, 200 years ago in most areas, it was mainly Christian or Hindu or other things there. They've all been driven out and killed. So, of course, they've got Asian police chiefs and people in England that are like, what are you doing? You got to kick these people out. Are you crazy? I'm like, but they're brown like you. That has nothing to do with it. Some of the most radical Muslims in England are white. That is a fact. It is a cult of doing whatever you want to anybody, enslaving women, raping, killing. As long as you do it to somebody who isn't a Muslim, it's okay. There is the House of Islam, and outside the House of Islam, there is the House of War. And I knew all this 15 years ago when I was against the Iraq War, 14 years ago. So was Trump, because he didn't want to stir it up. He didn't want to kick a secular government out and then put things in there far worse. Same thing in Syria. Same thing in Egypt. Egypt's our ally. The Christians live there. The Jews can live there. You could go there and go scuba diving. You could go there and see the pyramids. The Muslims had a higher standard of living. That's all being destroyed. The jihadis blew up 200-plus churches when Obama backed Al-Qaeda-light Muslim Brotherhood taking over 6 years ago. That's crazy until you realize the grand chessboard, until you realize Brzezinski was a top advisor of Obama. Now, Kissinger has broken with Zbig. And I'm not lionizing Kissinger, but globalism is in such trouble now that even top creators of it are now against it. And I wouldn't call Cecil Rhodes as a creator of globalism. The Rockefeller family adopting it, they are the modern underwriters, the benefactors. But if you look at who's now alive, David Rockefeller died a few months ago. Zbig died yesterday. See, I'm not a regular talk show host that says this is coming up, and then I can't ever get to the coming up. I just start telling you now. I'm going to stop right now. I'm going to hit other news that ties into this. Then I'm going to get into Zbig coming up at the start of the next segment, because this is a big, 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 big deal, and I'm going to explain how the whole enchilada operates. And by the way, you got to listen to me. This is what's so frustrating. It is not my opinion when they say Trump gave up the nuclear sub-locations that's a lie. It was a press release put out by the Pentagon, authorized 3 weeks before. The media, BuzzFeed, just lies. It is not my opinion that Trump's not the first person to ever set up a back channel. Every president going back over 100-plus years has set up back channels to Russia and England and other key countries. So you see the headlines with Hayden, who thinks you're a moron, General Hayden, up there, out of power, an Obama lackey, saying Trump has done something nobody ever did. He said, quote, "It's a dark time for Americans." I watched the video on CNN this morning. Sickening. And they all do it every day. Back channels to Venezuela, back channels to Iran, back channels to North Korea, back channels, back channels. Just type in any president's name and back channel behind it. Type in JFK and back channels. Type in Reagan, back channels to Russia. If you're a TV viewer, it's all on screen. Radio listeners, do you know how frustrating it is? Everything they say is a lie. It's all lies. Unless 2 weeks after we tell you Trump's getting ready to totally clean house, exactly as we said, now the announcements in the Washington Post and the New York Times, they have to follow our trailblazing. Because you don't think the White House gives them intel, do you? No. There's not many people the White House can trust. And that brings me to the next point before I go into Zbigniew Brzezinski. I want to explain something. You know, I've seen fools for years go, oh, thank God. It looks like Rush Limbaugh is losing his sponsors. They're going to kick him off the air. You know, they've tried that a bunch. And then it doesn't happen. And other people on talk radio tell me, oh, that'll be great, Alex. You'll get on more stations. And I look at him and I say something, you know, along these lines. Are you a moron? I've said this to other talk show host. If they can kick Limbaugh off and get his sponsors, you don't think you're next? And I saw people celebrate Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly was never charged with a crime. Bill O'Reilly settled the sexual harassment cases 6, 7, 8 years ago. Bill O'Reilly lied about me. Bill O'Reilly was a fence sitter. Bill O'Reilly was a minion, but he didn't hate the country. He wasn't out to totally get it, and he was not totally against Trump. So for that, he had to be destroyed. He was the low-hanging fruit. Then it's Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity boldly stood up for land rights, Second Amendment, national sovereignty, you name it. He did all that. And then he looked into the Seth Rich case that clearly stinks to high heaven, clearly is the leaker to WikiLeaks, clearly the family did hire the PI, clearly all this is a very legitimate murder investigation. And it's very legitimate to look into it and question it. So they take his sponsors and internally they try to get rid of him. And the word is they're saying in Fox he's gone. That may change, but I did get it from 2 high-level Fox folks that he was in the general counsel's office a couple times last week and that they're trying to push him out right now. But